Hi guys, so I am doing a video. I was told that I should do a video on how I am able to homeschool my two children.
Three.
I have 6 children, guys.
Yeah, two.
I have 6 children. And I homeschool them. I work and I'm also in school full time. So a lot of people ask me, how do you do it? How are you able to do it? And they want to know, like, what do your kids feel about it? So I'm doing this video for we can get a feel of how my 2 oldest children feel about it. I have one child that is in 4th grade now and a child that is in 3rd grade. He likes to speak for himself, so. Okay, so Elena, what is the pros of public school and what's the cons of public school? So when I say pros and cons, the pros is, what you like, and the cons is, what you don't like. So go ahead. Of public school.
Well, public school, what I do not like, there is a lot of stuff what I don't like. I don't like when there's like about 200 kids. I think there's more.
I mean, it's a lot of kids in the public school system.
A lot of kids in the
But in one
school.
classroom is probably
They're like
18 to 20 maybe.
No, my class got Elena in her class and Miss Visty. She had like over 20, about almost 30.
But that was virtual schooling that year. So, the virtual schooling, they did have a lot more students than they would usually have. So you're saying that's a con?
Yeah.
Okay, and what is a pro to public school?
Well,
Okay, so what's a pro?
well, my favorite thing is that I do have friends and things. And I get to talk to them during recess, but I don't get to talk to them, when we're doing during class.
Because
we have to shh.
They're always telling y'all to keep it on level 1,
Yeah,
which is
usually on level 0.
Level 0. So what's level 0?
Nothing. Air. Can't talk. Like this.
So all you could do is just breathe.
We also have to do it in the hallways.
Okay, so what do you like about homeschool?
Well, what I love about homeschool is that I get to do my favorite subject is reading. And I love to do it a lot. My mom lets me do it a whole bunch.
So do you have any cons about homeschool?
No.
Okay. Switch with Aiden. Let's let him speak.
My name is Aiden. What I like... Wait, am I doing public school first?
Yeah, you could do that.
What I like about public school is that we make friends. And plus, we each day is a new day to learn, do stuff, and stuff. What I like about learning and doing certain things each day, doing different things. Doing things different each day instead of doing the same thing over and over and over and over. Instead, we get to do different things and focus on our work that we're supposed to do. And sometimes if we finish, we get to read a book. Or instead of reading a book, we can sit down, wait patiently for the other people to get done.
Okay. And what's a con that you have about public school?
Con is a dislike. I don't know what you do. Probably air. No, I know what I don't like about public school is their water. The water fountains don't even work. Most of the water fountains.
What do you like about homeschool?
What I like about homeschool is that we get to do Adventure Academy, Time for Learning, And my 4-year-old brother can do ABC Mouse. It's a really good app that helps little ones and stuff. Like if they're 4, it goes up to 4 and 8. It goes up to 4 to 8 or under. Even if you still want your kid to do ABC Mouse. An Adventure Academy is a thing that helps other people learn and stuff. Other kids and people.
Yeah, because there's some interaction on there, right?
Yeah, and there is sending stuff. You can send text to friends. You can if you level up to level 6, you can get a house. Like I'm on level 6, so they didn't get a house yet. That's still messed up. I don't know.
Okay. What? But that's not the only thing that we do.
And we want the binders.
Oh yeah. So we have print offs from The Good and the Beautiful. So this is the language arts and literature.
Language arts, and
language arts, and
this is
language arts.
the books of poems. Your sister's son. Your sister.
Oh, here.
You almost hit Aviana.
Oh, that's sister.
Yeah. So this is the I Sat by the Sea.
These are our
that's the poems.
Poems. How about they?
And then this is the readers. I only got like one printed off in there because.
Wait, what?
Yeah, just the one book.
Oh yeah. And the Native American.
This is the math
grade 3.
Simply Good and Beautiful Math 3. So I printed it off for I could see how I actually like it with my children first before we make any decisions. I was like, this is my first time homeschooling. This is my first year homeschooling. So yeah, technically it is because the other couple of years was virtual due to like the pandemic. So
can we do virtual there? No. Can we do one more time virtual?
I think another pro when it comes to homeschooling your children is the fact that they get to interact with each other. And then as you're teaching, when you have multiple kids, you can kind of teach everybody at once. When it comes to reading, you can read everybody a story, the whole family.
Look at that.
I'm going to let y'all get one more good look at her before her father takes her, before we can finish our conversation. There we go. There we go.
So cute.
So as I was saying, you could kind of teach all your kids together. That's a pro when you have multiple children, and that's a pro when you're homeschooling as well. And since I have one of my kids love to read and one of my kids love to do math, that really works out in our benefit. So each of them take turns reading actual stories to their siblings. So some days I will tell them to switch back and forth with what they read. So I might tell her to read a chapter if it's a chapter book, and then tell him to read a chapter. Or sometimes I might tell her to read a paragraph and then tell him to read a paragraph. And in doing so, yeah, I will have them take turns doing that. And then if we go over words, sometimes my children will help the younger ones when they're doing when they're on an app like ABC Mouse, or if they're all drawing, then they might step in and be like, oh, you want me to show you how to make this? Or we'll go outside, we'll play with chalk. You have to allow homeschooling to work with you. You know, you're not schooling at home. You know, home is where the heart is, and there's so much things happening in this world right now, and that's why I felt the need to do and make the choices that I've made to actually homeschool my children. 1, to keep them safe, and 2, I don't want any other ideas getting in their heads. One thing that I would say is a con about public school is my kids would come home and tell me that they would hear older kids, they were both in elementary school. They'll hear older kids say inappropriate words like on the bus.
No, not on the bus.
And also
in the soccer games.
And also
And what
sometimes
soccer
they
games?
and
That we
also
play.
and
At
also
school? In
Yeah.
PE?
No, at recess.
At recess?
And sometimes we
Yeah.
do extra recess.
Yeah, so they will hear they'll come home and tell me like, oh, they learn about curse words from kids in school.
4th graders.
And, you know,
I didn't know
it's weird when you have children teaching younger children things that are not, what you want in your kid's energy. Some words I don't want my kids knowing, but they know now due to the public school system. I don't like how sometimes public school teachers address certain things. I especially when it comes to melanated children, and we are in a school district that is majority unmelanated people, you kind of catch the drift of how the politics are in the school system and how they can be stricter with certain students and not. So it's not an even balance because humans, we are naturally flawed. Humans are naturally flawed. So teachers are going to be flawed. Judges are going to be flawed. Lawyers are going to be flawed. Everybody, doctors. We're humans. We're naturally flawed. We're not robots. So I told my children, because I love them so much. You doing the heart? Because I love them so much, I rather instill good values into them, and I take the forefront of their education. And how do you feel about that after we've been having this conversation?
I actually feel pretty good because I just love homeschooling.
So when the pandemic hit in 2020, he was in kindergarten, she was in first grade, and they didn't know what to do. So when it hit and there was like, everybody go home because this is something that's deadly and major, it turns out not to be, but it was for certain populations. And they just sent my kids home and then eventually told us all to come pick up like these packets of busy work paper. And that's all they did for that school year. So then when they came back the next year, when she was in second and he was in first, it was virtual schooling. And the teachers noticed that with the virtual schooling from what happened with the pandemic in 2020, that a lot of kids were behind. So now we fast forward to this school year when she was in third and he was just in second. So they just passed. And it's like this big gap. And instead of trying to figure out how can we maneuver to help these children that was doing virtual schooling, they're saying that they're holding certain students back and giving parents no choice in the matter, that they changed the rules and that's how it's going to work. Not taking any responsibility, not doing anything to help these children. And that's what y'all get paid for. I pay a pretty penny in taxes, and they get a lot out of mine every year. Close to $1,000 just goes to the school system. So what are y'all doing with this to be, and we're supposedly in a good actual school system, and it seems like y'all are making no effort. They have no virtual schooling options. They didn't have it after that 1 year. They just, when the pandemic first hit, starting back in 2020 in August, they gave a virtual option. So you choose to go to school, you choose to do virtual. And the ones that chose to do virtuals end up getting the rear end of the stick because they was piling up so many kids with, to one teacher, like you said.
Or
It was
two teachers. It was like about
30 something students to one teacher.
Or sometimes
Elena had one teacher. She did not have an assistant.
I had an assistant.
Your teacher had an assistant, but Elena's teacher did not. And I realized I'm not going to allow them to dictate the education of my children on top of, what happened in Texas and on top of some of the horrible things that's been happening in this world. You realize how important it is to keep your family close, and you realize how important it is to be at the forefront of your children's education, especially if you don't want your kids learning bad things from other students, and you don't want your kids getting lied on. You don't want your kids getting poked at. That's not the way life is. And I feel a lot like the public school system is a pipeline to certain things that I'm not going to say because my kids are right here. So this is my kids' perspective on homeschooling. And I feel like in life, you make whatever a priority that you prioritize. Whatever you prioritize is your priority. And my children will always be my priority. My family will always be my priority. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, and I want to instill good things in my children. And I also didn't want the public school system to kind of take that light away from my children, because whereas some might say certain things, I feel like my children still have this bubbly energy, loving energy, and very lively. And the public school system has a way of taking it out of your children by telling them, shh, be quiet, sit down. I was always getting phone calls about him not, from his teachers, saying that he doesn't stay still. They will be like in a circle in the classroom reading, and he'll be the only one up walking around touching things. And that is definitely true, son.
Oh, yes, it is.
You gotten letters home. They called me all the time. Even while you was in the classroom, your teacher would come out and call me.
Huh?
Yeah. They was good about not letting them know, but they called me like every day about him. And at some point, it just got annoying. I'm just like, and the weird thing is, they would say, like, he's not bad. He's such a good kid. He's a really wonderful helper. But, if the whole class is sitting down, he's walking around. He's touching things. They will say that they think he has something sensory going on. And he is autistic. I mean, I found out that he was autistic at a young age. But if you look at my birth story on YouTube, you would see why he's autistic. And it's due to hospital error. So he's autistic and he does have hyperactivity, but I feel like that's normal for kids to have hyperactivity. They don't want to sit in one spot, and that's another thing that I think is a pro with homeschooling. I don't tell my kids, you just sit here and do this work for 8 hours.
Oh, no.
I tell them, and a lot of times, my kids actually come to me and want to do some work. So, like, sometimes we'll be having like a relaxed day, and they'll be like, hey, can we do this? And I'm like, sure, let's do that.
Sometimes I do that night before.
Yeah, he does it a lot. I want to do this. Like, he's always wanting to learn. He's very much so wanting to learn. And my daughter, she reads every single day, multiple times a day. So she's always like reading. And I think that puts the joy back in learning. Whereas in the public school system, they're programming you to like, oh, you sit still, you got to be quiet, you can't go in the hallways and make noise. And I just feel like that's so robotic. And I'm like, these aren't robots, they're children. They're human beings, and they deserve to be respected as much as adults. Just because they've been on this earth less time than us, don't make them less than us. We'll be surprised with how much children understand and how much they know and how much knowledge they have. I learn a lot from my children, and my children learn a lot from me, right?
Yeah.
So is there anything else you want to tell the world about homeschool or
You, all adults are listening, you should do homeschooling, but it's your choice. Homeschooling's super good and it is super safe.
all right, Ada?
I got one word to say. Make sure you subscribe and make sure y'all go to the fireworks at Lowe's.
Aiden, everybody don't live near where we stay.
No.
Not
People
everyone.
across the world are gonna see.
Some people will put it on video and then people could be like, wow, pretty good.
Okay. Well, till next time, guys.
Bye.